คุณเทพชัย Visakha Bucha Day this year is very unprecedented. No Vientian at the temple, but of course it cannot stop Buddhists to mark the birth and enlightenment of the Lord Buddha. And right now we have Phra Anil Sakya joining us live from Wat Bovoranives. Good evening, พระอาจารย์
Good evening to all.
Good evening, the Venerable. Thank you for joining us on this very important day, Visakha Bucha Day. But as Kunatha just mentioned, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, the most symbolic activities of the day, the candlelight procession, is something that we have to go without this year. So, but to start off, I would like to ask you whether how you see this whole crisis from the point of view of Buddhism. Is there something that we lay people in a rush to go back to normal life has missed or have overlooked?
First of all, thank you for having me in your program. In fact, when we talk about all the rituals and rites and rituals, if we understand Buddhism perfectly, actually rites and rituals are just there as a preparation in order to enter the real essence of Buddhism itself. So therefore, whether it is a candlelight, whether it is going to the temple, whatever you do, that is all kind of just a preparations for what? In order to go inside your own temple, that is your mind. Buddha is always emphasized on our mental temple, our mind temple, or what we call is Dhammaram in Pali. That is the most important thing. So therefore, whether you call it candle processions or what you call circumambulations, the essence of a circumambulating is just recollecting the virtues of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and Sangha. And what we mean by that, Buddha is not only the historical Buddha, a historical personality which came to in Buddhism, but in fact, the Buddha also means awakening. So therefore, when we think of the Buddha as the birth of the Buddha, like today, when we are thinking of the birth of our awakening, so when we are ready to awake, so that is a basic idea of the birth of the Buddha. Then he struggled. He went through a lot of perseverance in order to get through what we call is enlightenment or the awakening. So that is a very basic idea of the dharma or awakening itself. When we are awake, then we are called Buddha. So that is the main idea of the dharma. And when we circumambulate, that is what we always remember or recollect in our mind, or especially sometimes we do it with the chanting of the what we call is Swakato. And the third round, we generally think of the Sangha. When we think of the Sangha, that is, I guess, that is something which came out of the Buddha's death. Because once Buddha passed away on this auspicious day, suddenly the Sangha become the majority, the Sangha become the authority of all Buddhist affairs. So that's why when we talk about the Sangha again, it is not only the Buddhist monks, actually including all of the audiences, all of the MC here, also part of the Sangha. So when we Sangha, it means that a society, it's a compassionate society. It is a compassionate community. So therefore, when we talk about the real essence of the Visakha Puja of Buddhism itself, it is in our heart, in our mind. The physical temple is just there in order to remind the real temple which is in our minds. So therefore, whether COVID with us or not, actually in normal days and in normal years, we go to temple in order to enlighten, in order to light the candle in our mind temple, which is in our mind. So this year, we have all these technologies in order to remind of the Wats, in order to remind of all the ceremony which is taking place in the Wat, and then using that rituals and pictures and the sounds of the monks chanting, and then we should enlight candle and incense stick within our heart, within our mind, while we are in our own home in safe. And this is still in Buddhism count as a full perfect ceremony, as Buddha says that Patipati Bucha, a kind of following the puja or the worship, venerating in the right way with the practice.
Venerable, but during this COVID-19, people must have been very full of anxiety, worries, especially from economic impact. On this very important day, what do you like to reckon, what do you like to recommend to Buddhists in Thailand and around the world in order to practice at the same time?
Yes, we are, at the moment, we are invaded with this virus. And of course, everyone is uncertain, everyone is insecure. And this makes us very anxiety. This makes us very worrisome. But at the same time, it is a very risky for our public health and the personal health with this virus thing. And the measurement which the world at the moment taking in order to avoid the impact of the virus itself is a social distancing, taking care of yourself with all these masks and all necessities of the hygiene and so on and so. But what we found that when we are doing all those things, it has a very damage. It damages the economy itself. And now we are thinking whether we should select the health or economy. I think this is something we have to be very careful, and we have a misunderstanding of a lot of things here. If we understand the word health, actually, in English, when we talk about the health, we are referring to our physical health. But there's another analogy of the word health is a wealth, which is originated from the word well or well-being. And in order to have our health intact, of course, we need to have well-being or wealth around us. But at the moment, unfortunately, when we talk about the wealth, it suddenly we think of all the money or the economy and so on and so. From Buddha's point of view, we have to make a balance between this health and wealth, which means that our mind and our surroundings. And it can be done through looking after our health, which is an inner health, and as well as our mind. And we have immune system of able to, what we call is satisfy, able to contain with what we got it, which actually late Majesty King has given us a very wise teaching that is a sufficiency economy. That is a middle way, again, and another teaching of the Buddha. So if we are able to balance between the health and wealth, of course, at the moment, wealth is very difficult at the moment. We are facing a lot of trouble in the economy. But again, imagine that we are good at wealth, or we are good at the economy, but our health is worse, then there's no point of having any wealth as well. So therefore, very important thing is that how we balance those things, both health and wealth. At the moment, the Thai government and most of our neighboring country and most of the population in the world taking health as a first priority, and then slowly trying to grip with whatever it is possible, and then slowly we will recover the economy. I guess that it is not too late in order to recover the economy if we are still strong enough, we are healthy enough. So that's why at the moment the advice is that follow late Majesty's advice of the sufficiency economy. Look after yourself, look after the community in the way which is not so consumer, not influenced by the consumerism, but able to survive a day-to-day life.
Venerable, of course, this is not the first time that Thailand is being hit with the pandemic of this scale. But back in the old times, when the religious institutions, especially Buddhist priests, play a very important role in all aspects of people's life. And when there was crisis like this, what kind of role did the Buddhist priests play in helping people cope with those situations back then?
Yes, we have seen in the past. Yes, we have seen in the past, even the time of the Buddha, and throughout the history, even we got a new word in a Buddhist study called socially engaged Buddhism. And it basically means that generally Buddhist monks are always there with their peoples, with their devotees whenever they need, especially in the spiritual support, in the mental support. But it is not only the mental support that the monks are giving. When there is a need, monks are always there with them. For example, there's something what we are witnessing these days is that through the far-sighted vision of the Supreme Patriarch of Thailand, His Holiness Somdet Arya Vongsakhatayan, who commanded all Buddhist temple and Buddhist monk of these days to turn over Buddhist temple not actually as a spiritual sanctuary, but as a relief center for the whole community. So that's why all temple at the moment stopping all the rituals and all the religious works, but very active in a social work, as it's become a center where all one who doesn't have enough to eat, or who doesn't have food to eat, they can always go to the temple, and all the Buddhist monks are using all the resources they could get in order to support the community, in order to support the society. And this is the important role a Buddhist monk is always playing throughout the history of Buddhism.
Venerable, with the COVID-19, people around the world are forced to take simpler life, less engaged socially with other people. And in your view, how do you think this COVID-19 will have impact on capitalism, on globalization, and whether it's like revival of Buddhism or philosophy for people in general? What's your take?
Well, when we talk about the Buddhism, and then when you talk about the capitalism, actually it is not so different if you understand correctly. The only difference is that the capitalism always prioritize profit before people, whereas Buddhism prioritize people before profit. That is only the differences you can see between the capitalism and Buddhism. The way we take Buddhism in order to let the people who believe in Buddhism, who adhere Buddhism, is basically how can you adjust your life with the nature? How can you improve your life with what you got it to make you happy, to live in peace? And basically, in order to do that, of course, without any capital, it will be hard, I guess. So capital is a part of the whole thing. We need to have it. But if we let the capital overrule us, then we spoil what a true humanity itself. Because to be a human is able to manage the things in a better than all other creatures, which means that we are wise enough to see which one is important, which one is less important, which one is harmful, which one is beneficial. So in that way, if we can keep up with the idea of a humanity and try to keep that humanity intact and balance the capitalism and balance the Buddhism. Buddhism is not mean that we have to wait for the next year or next life. Buddhism in a way that how do you use capital in a beneficial way for yourself, for your family, for your society, for your nation, and for the whole world. So if we can bring this balance, I guess that this will be the perfect world.
Venerable, many people believe that the coronavirus pandemic has changed the world the way we have never seen before, and things are not going to be back to the same situation like before. And people start talking about the so-called new normal. So my question is, for people in priesthood like yourself, is there such thing as new normal? Because I know that few people have been going to the temple. I mean, few people have been giving our alms to Buddhist monks. And are there any other changes that you think that people in Buddhism are facing?
Yes, the main essence of the Buddhist teaching is always a new normal. We are never all normal because we always have to change according to conditions, according to the scenario, which is always changing. Buddha says that everything is impermanent, everything is transient. So in order to live with the aspect of the changing, the wave of changing, we have to be new normal all the time. So this is not a new normal as we are seeing these days. Old days, we never know what is this technology about. But at the moment, we are using this technology. And if you are not using technology, you are disadvantaged of those technology. So in a way that you have to pick up the technologies as it comes. In old days, all the Buddhist texts were in the palm leaf, but now we can have in our own palm, in our own hand. So this is a technology, and then that always changing in a good way, or sometimes one who is not able to improve yourself with these new changes. Of course, you will become disadvantaged after all those things. So from Buddhist point of view, new normal is something which is very important and which is a must way of living. Because if you change the word for new normal, that is the same word in Buddhism called bhavana, or what we call is development. When we think of a development, we always think that it is a good. No, it is not always good. Because the etymology of development, the root of development is come from the destruction itself. We have to destroy something in order to bring up something new. So therefore, the new normal, what we are facing at the moment, is the same thing. Of course, with the coronavirus, it warned us about our hygiene. With the coronavirus, it warned us about the social distancing. Do you believe that actually social distancing, which we think is a new word, which actually it has the same word, it appeared even in the time of the Buddha. It is called Sakya in Pali. And then not only social distancing as we translate at the moment, but it even goes detail. What are the things we have to be in distance? It's called Sawana Asangsaka. We have to be social distance in listening. Dasana Asangsaka, we have to be social distancing in watching. We say that Samupalapa Asangsaka, we have to be social distancing in conversation. We have to be social distancing in a Sambhoga Asangsaka, in all the party eating together. And the Kaya Asangsaka, we have to be social distancing in physical contact. That is already taught by the Buddha 2,600 years ago. So social distancing, what we talk about at the moment, sometimes people don't understand. They always think about the loneliness, always think about the alone, and then you feel that you are you are far away from society. No, we are not. Of course, physically,
that means that there's nothing new.
Distant, but mentally, we are one. I always say that, look at the word alone. It is actually all one. So if you understand the word alone, it is all one. So if you can understand these two words, then wherever you are in the society. Wherever you are the part of this world.
So it means that there's something new in what we are talking about today, right?
No, because we are always having new. Because in old days, do we have a mobile? But now so used to mobile, even for the monks, we always say that we have 4 requisites. Now we have the 5th requisite, that is a mobile. So that is a new normal. So it has been new normal all the time, whether you use the certain word or not. It is a phrase, I think it makes us kind of warn us something about the new things happening, but the things will always keep changing. And if you don't change, you will be forced to change by the surroundings. And that is the whole essence of Buddha's teachings called impermanence.
Venerable, how has COVID-19 disrupted you? Has it disrupted?
Actually, not at all. My life, the life of a monk, was mostly we live in a temple, and then, of course, as I am a professor in the university, these days with the technology, we are teaching online. We are doing all the conference with these online conferences. So in a way, of course, we are not able to go here and there, but for months, we are always in a seclusion. We are always practicing meditation. So this is actually a good opportunity not only for the monks, for everyone. We always say that I don't have enough time. I'm so busy all the time. So this is the time. The corona already give you a precious time for us. So use that time to develop yourself. This is a time for self-development. This is a time to fulfill something which you always wanted to do, but you always say that there is no time for you to do. So fulfill it, use it as wisely. And that is how we can use this crisis as an opportunity.